So tell me a little bit more about the whole idea for the Winner's Bible. Like,
Yeah.
because
So
I'm assuming that the book is like there for a while already, and
yes.
the application is something that you started to develop lately.
So if I go back just over 10 years ago, that's when the Winner's Bible originally was written, and it was written by a well-known neuroscientist, Dr. Kerry Spackman. He's from New Zealand,
Okay.
and he's also consultant to top athletes and Formula One. I met him he was writing the book, and so he then asked me to collaborate with him, and we became business partners from that time onwards. So I started applying, obviously, the Winner's Bible tools to myself and also working with my clients. And I got really heavily involved in it for over years now. And so the idea of the Winner's Bible, of the book, is to because he was working in Formula One and with motorsports top champions, and the lessons he learned from those top champions. So he was working with them, and the lessons he learned from that, he put all those methods and strategies and everything into the book, which is now called the Winner's Bible. And is that it's not just for athletes, but it is really has a very, very broad appliance. So it works for athletes, it works for top business people, as well as just the general public, as well as people who have, you know, mental, emotional, or physical.
Yeah, I guess probably can generalize to high achievers, right? Like people who have high aspirations.
So it is, the idea is about not just reaching your goals and being a high performer, but being happy at the same time.
Right.
So, and that is where a lot of people go wrong. So it's one way to become successful and reach your goals, but very often to the detriment of, you know, a balanced life, a happy life, and so on. And that's, I know I've worked with top athletes, and I know how it is, and they're very single focus, and whatever it takes, they just want to get that, and they feel, oh, once I have that trophy, once I have that world championship title, then my life can carry on, you know. But it doesn't work like that.
And they get there, and then once they're there, they want another one, another one,
another one. They go down, often very. I've seen many of them who actually reach their, you know, goal and world championship title, and I've worked with 6 times world champions, and when they get there, it all of a sudden turns out to be a very lonely place.
Yes, I can resonate with that, because actually it's like very similar to my story. I'm not an athlete, but it's similar in a way that if you have the wrong goals, if the thing that you're going to is not what you actually really need inside, it doesn't matter if you're gonna get there or not. You're just never gonna be happy, right? And if you actually will get there, it's gonna be even worse, because that's gonna be the moment when you will think, oh my God, I'm there, I got everything I wanted, and I'm not happy, right?
Yes. Yes.
And that's like your drive is going on the water, and then like, what to do now? Life is over, right?
Yeah.
Yes,
so how did that happen to you? What sport did you do?
Well, when it comes to sports, I'm involved in quite a few sports. My personal sport is martial arts. So from the very little age, I was a taekwondo fighter, and then once my knees were actually not really good anymore, plus I just couldn't do it professionally, because I wanted to, you know, do something else, not just fighting. And so
you did it professionally?
No. I was doing taekwondo. I was doing while I was still at school. So I was going around and fighting in tournaments, but not for money, never for money, right? So I wouldn't say I was professional. I was fighting quite on a like high level, but never for money. So yeah, so it's an amateur sport, right? But then after that, when I got to my university, I discovered capoeira, which is a Brazilian martial art combined with dance, and that was my thing. The moment I started to do that, I was like, oh my God, why I just find it so late, right? and I just went into this, and I started to teach little children like a preschool children. I was running classes for them, capoeira classes or rhythmic classes, dance classes, baby yoga classes, and all basically all the classes related with the movement and the little ones. And that's how I got basically into teaching business, right? That was my first teaching job ever. Yeah, and after that, I just I finished my civil engineer degree, and then I already knew I'm not going to work in that department. I did my master degree in early years education, and I just started to teach kids.
Great.
That's the short story.
That's a short story. So you feel that is where your passion is?
Oh yeah, well, definitely. My passion is basically with teaching, but the thing that I love about teaching is, I just realized that recently, actually, the moment I joined KVB and I was like going through some problems in my life and some big changes, I realized that the thing that I like about teaching is that I like to give people this feeling of enthusiasm, of happiness about teaching, about learning something, because the goal for me was not to give very specific knowledge, right? For me, it wasn't about, okay, I need to teach capoeira, or I need to teach yoga, or I need to teach in a classroom, or I need to teach something, right? I was also teaching math, for example, or technology design in MYP in a middle school, right? So I was teaching a lot of different things. And I realized it's not about what I teach, it's about what my students feel when they go out from my class, you know? And I realized that very late. I was already like a teacher for more than a decade, until I finally realized what is my drive, why I want to do it. I'm only happy not when they have, greatest knowledge and greatest acing everything. I'm happy when they really like to come back to my class, and they're smiling and they're giving me high fives on the breaks or outside of the city. Or I have students who I taught 7 years ago in kindergarten, and they're still calling me. They live in a different country.
Oh, that's amazing.
Right? They from totally different culture, and they're still calling me and asking me how I'm doing and what they do. I have a few students like that, and I was thinking, yeah, this is amazing. I just planted this seed in these little minds, and now they just love learning, and they want to share with me what else they've learned and how it looks like, in their life.
That's amazing. I would like to give you a high five now. That's really good. Really good. Well done. That's fantastic.
Yeah. Well, but it wasn't easy to realize that, it wasn't like, for me, I was doing it subconsciously, right? Somehow. And sometimes I was happy because I was doing the right thing. Sometimes I couldn't find my way because I was teaching in international schools, and there's a lot of legislations, a lot of problems, a lot of stuff that I actually didn't want to do, right? And even though I was teaching in the greatest,
it stifled you and wanted to do.
Yeah, I felt like I'm suppressed. I felt like I'm not actually doing what I want to do, right? And I was thinking, why? It's like I thought the teaching is my thing, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, what the hell, right? I'm not happy at this point, right? And I realized I'm not happy because it's not the teaching itself. It's not that I want to teach whatever. I want to make sure that my students really love to learn. Whatever they're going to learn next, my job is to make them turn them into lifelong learners. That's what makes me happy, right? That I have more and more people around me who can tell me, Mr. Mike, thank you. Because of you, now I do all these things, and I'm really glad that I met you on my way.
That is an amazing mission. It's really, really great and that you found out exactly what drives you, and that you can really apply that. That is amazing. But I can see already from what you're saying that the Winner's Bible will really, really resonate with you. And as we're talking, what I'm thinking I'm gonna do, because to tell you a little bit more about the background. Yeah. So I've been working with the Winner's Bible then for 10 years with my clients. And so I'm originally from Austria.
Okay.
And I thought, oh, that would be really great to bring that, because the book was a number one bestseller in the English speaking market. So I thought I really want to bring it to the German speaking market, which is, where I'm from, Austria and Germany. And so I translated the book, and I added my own stuff into it, and I became co-author, and I published it on the German market. So that has been since last year my task, to really promote the book. And the idea of the app is, because the book, the book gives you the lessons. Yeah, there's for every aspect of your life. And then the core idea is that you build your own personal winner's Bible. So the idea is, a one size fits all approach to success or happiness doesn't work. It has to be personalized. So whenever you read books where you say, oh, you just need to do these 3 things, these 7 things or whatever, and then you will, be happy and you reach your success, that's doomed for failure, because it's a one size fits all approach. Yeah. And the idea behind it is to give you a really, really personal approach. So you build your own personal winner's Bible. With, you have seen in the app, all the different aspects in your from your life, with the materialistic goals, career goals, developmental goals, all of that, your heroes, your mentors, your inspirations, your family, your friends. So everything is in that little, originally it was supposed to be a little booklet, just a folder that you fill with images and some. So the idea is to just have keywords. You don't write long stories, but it's that you can grasp it quickly.
Something that you can browse through later, right?
Exactly. So the idea, every day 5 minutes is enough, but to connect yourself with every aspect of your life. And it's an organic project, because you might be like this today. This might be your blueprint for your perfect future today, but in 3 months something might have changed and it might look different. So it's organic and it keeps updating.
Yeah, I love this quote from Dean: the success is a moving target, right?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, exactly. And so is happiness. So the idea, originally was meant to be like a little booklet that is quite simple, and then I had the idea to make it sort of bring it up to date and create the app behind it, so it's easier. You have it on your phone, you can take it with you everywhere. You can lock the app so nobody else can look at into it. With the booklet is a little bit more difficult. Just things like that to bring it kind of up to date. But both ways are applicable, so you can use the app as well as just do it, with paper, pencil, and print out.
Yeah, I went through the application. Like I didn't fill in all the areas over here. There's quite a lot over there actually. But I'm assuming the moment you start playing around with the app, the first thing you do is, as you said, you're creating your personal winner's Bible, right? Your goals for different areas of life. And then once that's done, you use this as a tool that is setting up your mind for success and for a certain way of thinking. And you do that by just basically browsing through it 5-10 minutes a day, whatever time you have. Yes, right? That's the idea, right?
Yeah, that's the idea. Yeah. And to connect yourself with all different aspects of your life every single day. So the first part is like a mind map, which has the idea to give you an overview of all the important aspects of your life. So, whether it's your education, whether it's your hobbies, your family, your career, your work, your free time, whatever. So, if you do it in a mind map properly, all you need is 15 seconds scan to just, okay, this is kind of, my life. What have I neglected maybe in the late, have I worked too much? Have I neglected my friends? Have I neglected my family? Have I neglected my training, my whatever? Yeah? So you kind of get a quick overview every morning. And then you can go to specific parts of of the booklet or the app and visualize. For example, there's a specific 2-minute visualization technique that is meant to connect your emotional and your logical part of the brain to get it aligned. Right. Because if that is not aligned, we have a problem, because, logically, exactly what you just said before is a very good point. You think you might, you choose a goal, without knowing whether that goal is really right for you. And that is really a big part of the Winner's Bible as well, how to figure out where you really want to go. You know, what is your intrinsic, we call it intrinsic drivers. Because if you follow the wrong goals, exactly what you said, you can put everything in it, all the effort, all the time, and then you get there and you go like, is this it? You know,
Right.
And you won't find the fulfillment, you won't find the happiness. And it's basically a waste of time, because, and that's the tragedy of it, because so many people follow goals, specific goals that they think is right for them, and put everything in it, and they chase those goals all their life. And
when it comes to kids, like teenagers especially, those goals are probably in most cases somebody else's goals, or something that they just feel obligated to do, you know?
Yes.
And that they just do it, and then they figure, okay, that was a big waste of time. Right?
Yeah. And we want to avoid that, basically.
Yes.
So the Winner's Bible gives you the tools and the structure to get the blueprint of your ideal life and get it right, you know, and not do these trials and errors and go like long ways around till you find what you really want to do. And so the idea was originally, obviously, do this with adults, and the book is written for adults of every aspect, every area. But only recently, it just hit me, and I thought, oh my God, like, how great would this be to help teenagers, young adults, to really get that right from the beginning, you know? And the way I think further than that, so that is like helping the individuals. But what really, really, really drives me is the idea of changing society, you know, helping young people get it right from the beginning.
Right.
Set up really the blueprint in the right way. Give them all the tools, the strategies, how to get the success, how to get be happy at the same time. What difference that would make to society, and create, you know, functioning, happy, fulfilled young individuals, and then contributing to society. So that is kind of the big drive behind it all. And that has only
is amazing.
Yeah, and that only has just come up really very, very recently, because I realize this when I start thinking about this and talking about it, it lights me up. You know, I can feel it in my body, like what an amazing mission that is, compared to, you know, I don't know, 45 or 50-year-old reading the book or getting the app and, you know, okay, yeah, now I feel happier, or now I reach my goals. It's great, but, you know, I think
some things will never come back, right?
Sorry?
Some things will never come back. Well, obviously we learn through mistakes, but when I actually had quite the same realization that you just had, because when I was going through KBB for the first time, I was thinking, like, this is great stuff. And a lot of things in KBB, especially from the first module, the mindset module, is I find a lot of similarities with the Winner's Bible. Like, I was going through this and that, and I was like comparing. There's a lot of similarities. Obviously, that's basically the part discovering the mindset, right? The right mindset is the beginning for everything else, right? Well, as Dean is saying in one of his sessions, that basically for the complete course, or whoever we're going to send it to, we need three things. The mindset is the beginning, and then the tactics and strategies is going next, and finally the third step would be the implementation, right? Helping in putting it into action, right? But it all starts with the mindset, and I find that the Winner's Bible is basically just a great tool for that, for having that mindset, without, you know, needing a lot of people around you telling you how to live, what to do, where to go, which the thing you need to do next. If you have it done, right, if you actually sacrificed time for it, right, and daily you have this reminder, it's definitely, like you said, rewiring your brain, right? Rewiring the brain, and but you do it daily. It's not something that, oh, it hit me today. Today I'll just think about it for an hour and it'll be good for the rest of my life, right? And that's what people expect, right? Especially young people. They think, okay, I thought about it for a while and, you know, this is what I came up with. I'm going to go with that, right? So it's not working like this. I was just talking with somebody else this week. This was the Dean's session, right? So we were saying about conditioning your brain, right? And I was saying this story that Tony Robbins is saying in one of his Ultimate Edge programs about the conditioning the piano, right? When the piano is out of tune, you have to come
tuning it, yeah.
Right, you have to come and tune the piano, and then you might think it will be okay, but it turns out it's not. A week after that, it's out of tune again. And it happens because the wires were like straightened that way for so long that even though you retune it, they will want to come back to the way they used to be for a very long time. And so the guy has to come back a few times and then do it, like for maybe next week has to come and do it again. After that, maybe next month has to come back and do it again. After that, maybe after 6 months, he needs to come back and do it again. But it will still go to the old ways. And if you're not conditioning it, it's going to turn bad again. And same as with the brain. You do something one time and then, okay, it's done. It's not going to work, right? You will come back to your old ways because you're not conditioning your brain daily or weekly or whatever is needed at the moment, right? So I find it very, very visualized example, right? Like you do this because, you know, you've been this way for so long. It's not enough to do something one time and think that you're fixed. It will not work like that, right?
Yeah. And the beauty of it is, even though you need to do it every day, but it really does not take more than 5 minutes. Yeah. 5 minutes every morning. But it's just that consistency of doing it. Yeah. And what is also important with the brain development when it comes to teenagers, it's because the frontal lobes, which is, you know, where all the logical thinking, where all our decision making is based, and the emotional center is, they are developed differently. So the emotional center is basically, you know, almost ready, completely ready when we're born. Mm-hmm. And the frontal lobes, they take 20 years to develop.
Right.
And that's also the explanation of why sometimes teenagers act unreasonably in a way that is really difficult to understand. Sometimes it's simply because their brain development is not fully functioning yet. It's not fully developed.
So as a psychologist, you would say like doing it before the age of 20, right? When these parts of your brain are developing. What's the difference between doing this, like going through the process before the age of 20 and doing this after the age of 20? What would you expect the difference?
So it's kind of the frontal lobes, it's almost like an empty book. So, and you can write the story into that book. And obviously you can write a negative story or you can write a positive story, something that is helpful. So when you train your frontal lobes in a way that it's helpful, that helps you to become a grounded, rounded personality, you can train the frontal lobes for that. Mm-hmm. And of course that helps then teenagers and then as young adults to just be better people, to be better versions of themselves. Mm-hmm. Than if you're not exposed to the right things.
Mm-hmm. So tell me, correct me if I'm wrong. So I'm understanding this like this: that once the frontal lobe are already fully developed, right? Let's say I'm 35 or something, right? And that's my first time when I actually trying to condition my brain, right, and rewire my brain. So the difference for me would be that I already have a story here, right? I already have some papers written, and now I have to forget what I've learned. Exactly. And then I can only learn.
You have to kind of overwrite, yeah.
So so the process will be
it's reprogramming
as long as it would be if I do it in the first place, right? Is
So
that?
it's really about reprogramming your brain, yes.
Mhm.
Whereas, you know, with younger people, you can program the brain in the first place instead of
Mhm.
just reprogramming it again.
Right.
And so, you know, that's why I feel the age of teenagers is really, really appropriate for this kind of approach and methodology.
Mhm.
And to learn how to connect your logical and your emotional mind of parts of the brain together. Because I mean, there's a really good analogy which we call kayak analogy. So if you
Mhm.
imagine a kayak, you sit in a kayak and you pedal really, really hard, yeah, and that's all above the water, and you imagine that pedaling really, really hard as your logical part of the brain, yeah. So you want to achieve something and you try really hard and you paddle, but for some reason your kayak keeps going in circles, even though your goal is straight ahead of you and you have your goal, you see your goal, this is where you want to go, but for some reason your kayak keeps going in circles. And the reason for that is because the rudder underneath the kayak is not aligned straight with where you want to go, but like off, yeah. And
Mhm.
that is equivalent to your emotional part of the brain. So if your emotions are sabotaging where you want to go and
Mhm.
the rudder is not aligned, you will keep going in circles no matter how hard you try
Right.
consciously
Mhm.
to reach your goal. So everything above the water is the conscious part that you really put all the effort in, but underneath the water is the subconscious part, your subconscious emotions that actually steer you where you
Yeah, that's a really nice metaphor. Like visualizing this is a nice way to put it for teenagers. But I wanted to go back to the app, as I gave you already some feedback, uh, and like I said, I really find it very useful. And once you know the process after this, like that goes with it, and how you can use it once it's ready, because like the first question maybe for you would be, what would be the normal time to create the bot? I know it's a ongoing process, but let's say this first draft, going through all these sections that you have in the app, how much time would you normally give to people to do that?
Well, to fill it all in.
Yes.
Well, I think that's a very individual thing to do, because you might not want to fill in every part straight away, just the things that are, you know, resonate more with you. But with what is for me with young people and teenagers, I can not see it as a standalone tool where they just get the app and they do it themselves. I really see
Mm-hmm.
it that they need a hands-on approach, that
Mm-hmm.
they really need somebody that they trust, that they can be inspired by, that they can be motivated by, and to really take them step by step. So,
Yes.
you know, you could do each section as a separate module, for example, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
show how it's done, explain the reasons behind it, explain, you know, inspire them what they're going to get out of it, and so on. So I would say each section could actually be as a standalone lecture or module or whatever you want to
Mm-hmm.
call it.
Well, so
So
I was thinking about that as well, because like I said, when I go through it, and I'm a person who is basically thinking on it on a daily basis, right? And I create those courses. I try to motivate other students as well to do that. I went through KBB. I went through like the whole bunch of books about that as well. And so I'm very conscious about all these elements. And even for me, it takes quite a long time, right? So when I was thinking about students who would get this app, I would think that they would probably be overwhelmed with all these elements. Like, oh my God, I have to fill in all these things. Nah, I'll never make it, right?
mm,
And so
mm,
when it comes to this, the whole delivery mode, I was going through one funnel away challenge, and I'm going to that because the way they organize the course is that they don't show you what is next in the course until
Okay.
you don't have you didn't finish the first section,
Mm-hmm.
right? So you have the first mission. Mission number 1 is this, and it's just one mission. Finished? Okay, congratulations, you make it to the next mission. Give me some high fives, whatever, right? You got like this feeling of like you achieved something. Okay, I got the first mission done. Yeah, right?
Yeah.
First badge on my account. And you got the second mission, right? And then you got the third one, and you got a fourth one, and all together you have 30 missions, right? But you can imagine if I throw at you all these 30 missions right away, and it's a lot of material. I think you can cover that. You can go through it even 6 months material from this one course that is normally supposed to be finished in 1 month, right? Because it's daily missions that they give you. But the fact that it's not just all at once makes the whole difference.
Yes.
Right? And I think when it comes to the application, it's probably also a way to go, right? Although we don't really know which part students would like to start with, right? Like you said, maybe for some person this will be more important, for some other person something else will be more important, right? And so this is like a limiting their option because they have to go through the process through somebody else's script, right? So I think you should start with that, or I think you should start with that. So that's probably not the best.
I think that would be the better approach for teenagers, to be honest, because I think when you give them too much choice.
Definitely.
Yeah. So I think to really provide them the structure and make the decision, like this is what we do today, this is what we do tomorrow. I think that would be the.
In business they say that confused mind is not buying, but you can apply this saying as to education as well. Confused mind doesn't want to learn, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Because if I tell you, okay, we're going to learn all this right now, and they're like, what? Nah, and they're already shut. No, that's too much. That's over. I can't do it. I'm not going to even try. Right? And it's basically out of my reach. So limiting the
totally get that.
is very important, and just giving them step by step, right? Breaking it down to smaller modes. But in these smaller modes, they have their say. It's not like I tell you you're going to learn.
Exactly. Yes.
Just like you said, it's still personal winner's Bible. You make it. Yeah. I'm just giving you step 1, what you have to do, but then you make it, right? Exactly. And then the second thing is the part of the motivation. I said I already sent you a message about it, or maybe email, that when it comes to teenagers, that in this era especially, they really need to have something up front that will motivate them to action. Because they have so many options out there, what they could do instead of doing this, you know? And those options will be much more pleasant for them, right? Playing games, going outside with friends, watching TV, watching Netflix, watching YouTube or whatever that is, right? And they just don't really want to do something like that, especially that there is no pictures, no videos, no moving features, right? It's basically quite static. And for students, they need action, they need this outside push, right? Something that will motivate them. And you mentioned at the beginning, so that's my question to you, that the book was based on the research that was made with high performing athletes, right? I was thinking in my head that having those athletes actually talking about it, even talking or having like a short interviews with them as a trailer, as a hook, right? That would probably be something that the teenagers would bite, you know, because that would be their idols, or at least for some of them, right? The one who are into sports, for example, right? But it doesn't have to be only from one segment, right? For, like you said, at the end of the day, this is basically for all different types of high performing people, right? People who have high aspirations. So then if you find these people who already have the success, right, and they did use the Bible, right, they create their own personal Bible, and they could, for example, record very short videos, like 1 minute, right? We're talking about 1 minute, 1.5 minutes of these high-performing people, celebrities, let's say, right? In a sense, for celebrities, for teenagers at least, and they would be the motivating factor, right? Like, look, I did that, and I'm the cool guy. You should do that too, right? And
Yeah,
then they can give
I hear what you're
a
saying.
very
Yeah.
short example. So I did, you know, this in my Bible, and it helped me in this particular situation in my life, right? Just very short story. Boom. That's why I'm here right now, because I have it, right?
No, I hear what you're saying. Yeah. I mean, we do have that in writing, but not on video.
Do you think it would be possible to actually reach to those people and ask them to record it?
I don't know, because I mean, some of them are really high profile, and it's very difficult to get to them that way and ask them to do that.
Right.
But I would have to think about it.
Yeah, well,
if
like
that could be
it's probably would be easier if you have like a bigger organization standing behind the app, right? And that's another thing that we started to think about, because my ideas for creating courses for teenagers and helping them not only with mindset, but basically also with implementation, that
exactly, yeah.
in
So you get the mindset with this, you get the mindset, you get the strategies, and you get the implementation.
Yeah. So what happened is that I started as just as like a single man show, right? And then I found other teachers on KBB group, and we started to discuss about possibilities of a collaboration. So what happened at the end is that we created a World Education Innovators group.
That sounds good.
Which is basically formed from teachers who have the drive to change the system, right? Or to infuse the educational system for teenagers, for K to 12 sector in general, right?
So K to 12 means what?
Means kindergarten to grade 12.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So basically all the way to high school, right? And we are focusing on this sector. And we wanted to start with the teenagers, because we found that this is a sort of like a hot market for us, because these students are standing in front of a very important decision in their life. They will choose the higher education, right? They will choose their school that will supposed to shape them for the adulthood life, right? And depending on what they're going to choose and what they're going to do, it's going to make big difference in their life, right? So this is actually the first moment when their life will go in a certain direction depending on what they're going to choose, right? Or if they will just choose something that is imposed on them by parents, by society, by whoever else, or they're choosing because they know themselves enough to make a very conscious decision, right? Whatever the decision will be.
So is your program about helping them make that decision?
Yes, it's originated, the program is called Me Lab. So this is an acronym that stands for Most Essential Life Abilities Blueprint.
Okay.
Right? But what is important, the me part, the me is the knowledge about you. What makes you you?
Yes.
Right? You have to have this in order to choose a strategy for anything in your life, whether it is college or whether it is work or the group of people that you want to belong to, whatever that is. You first have to start with me and then go for the lab, right? Go for the skills and abilities that will allow you to make good decisions in your education and your life, right? And we started with the me. So the students are pretty much in the first module are trying to answer questions. who am I? What is my purpose? But if you ask them, almost nobody can answer that. Right?
Yeah, I believe
Nobody
that.
can answer that. So then I started
Yeah.
to record videos for them, like a short videos with pictures, with something that will create like emotional state in their brain, right? And then I asked them to think back in their life and find those moments that made them feel ecstatic, that made them feel super alive, that made them really happy in that particular moment of time. And think about that moment,
Yeah.
write down something about that moment, think about who was around you, right? What did you see? What did you feel? What did you do? What did you say at that moment, right? And from this magical moment in your life, you will then be able to create a profile that will tell you what is important for you. And that's basically the beginning. That's the beginning module for the Me Lab.
So I can see so many overlaps with what you're saying, because in the Winner's Bible, one really big chapter of it is about your strengths, weaknesses, your skills, and repeated mistakes. So knowing all of this is essential in order to really figure out where you want to go.
Yes.
To set the right goal. So that's one. The other mentioned, we have the intrinsic drive exercise. So we look at, for example, what do I enjoy in life? What are my hobbies? What do I enjoy about my work? Whatever. So you kind of write everything down, and then you look at each part. Why? Figure out your why. Why do I like this? Why do I enjoy this? Write this all down for each of the things, for each of the passions that you have in life, each of the things that you enjoy, and write down 5, 6 whys. And then you kind of consolidate all those passions together, and you look at the patterns of each of your passion, of each of the things that you enjoy in life. What are the underlying drivers, your underlying intrinsic motivation, your why? And you will find, once you start looking at all the different passions that you have in life and all the different things that you enjoy, you find a pattern underneath. And then you might have 2, 3, 4 really clear, and if it's just one, that's great as well, intrinsic drivers that are essential to whatever it is that you do in life.
Right.
And if you have a goal and you check that goal, is this actually aligned with my intrinsic driver that truly, truly motivates me? And if it isn't, it's most likely not a good goal for you. So yeah, we have a very clear exercise of what to do.